Training camp's heating up. We already got a fight. We already got a fight at Steelers camp. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We got the quarterback competition heating up a little bit with Justin Fields, Russell Wilson. I still think it's Russ's team, but things have been getting interesting with some of these wild plays that Justin Fields is putting on display, some of these good camp sessions that he's had, and all the while Russell Wilson has been limited. Mr. Limited has been limited thus far in the first, 6 or 7 of these training camp practices. So we haven't got to see the full extent of Russ just yet, but he's also been in the league for, 13 years? Is this going to be his 14th year? He's a Hall of Famer, 9-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champion. So do we need to see all that from Russ this early in training camp? Probably not, but these are both new quarterbacks to this Steelers team, and you got to think that Russ is chomping at the bit to get out there, but Tomlin's been holding him out, and that's the thing that I've been really curious about. Is it that Tomlin believes in Russ that much that he really doesn't need to see him that bad, even though Russ is new to the team? Or is Tomlin having a little bit of a wandering eye and see what Justin Fields can do and have this competition be a little bit more open than what was being led on up to this point? And even still, with Tomlin and some of his interviews and what he's saying, like Russ is still the guy in the pole position. It's still Russ over Justin, but the more Russ sits out, man, it just gets more and more interesting. My money's on Russ, but it is an interesting little storyline or a little headline that has taken up part of this Steelers training camp in the first 6 or 7 days. So there's that. But you also got Omar Khan heating up maybe a little bit. Is he warming up a little bit? Because I'm seeing some stuff on Brandon Ayuk, some conflicting reports. Colin Cowherd is saying that keep your eyes out. There might be a new 49ers deal. Like they may have come to an agreement here. But then I'm seeing Schefter and Rappaport saying that even though Ayuk was at camp and there's a video of him dapping up John Lynch and I think Kyle Shanahan, they're still way, way far apart on getting this new contract done. That's Schefter and Rappaport saying that. But then you got Cowherd, who I guess could be plugged into the 49ers. He does live out in LA. He does a show out in California. He's saying that the 49ers are going to get a new deal with Ayuk done here soon. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what to believe. Like, is Omar Khan working behind the scenes? But the reason I'm saying he's warming up, maybe is he warming up to potentially an Ayuk deal? Because he's just made a signing today, and he brought back edge rusher Markus Golden, which I'm liking. He was on the squad last year. He was our 4th outside linebacker / edge rusher after T.J. Watt, Highsmith, and Herbig. And he was solid for us. When we needed him, we called upon him. He delivered. Like, he did what he needed to do. He wasn't wowing us or anything, but he's been in the league for a minute, double-digit years in the NFL. I think he's got like 3 or 4 seasons, like 10-plus sacks. But that's not where he's at right now in terms of, like, his career and what a team's looking for out of him. You're looking for his veteran presence and providing depth. He's not the guy. Maybe he could be the guy on another team, but not ours when we have TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. But this comes on the heels of us losing a couple of our depth guys to injury. David Perales, he went down, and we ended up cutting him too. So, yeah, that's tough times for him. Gets hurt, and you're no longer a Steeler. Sorry. And then Kyron Johnson, he's another guy that's been battling for that 4th spot. He got hurt too. So we need another guy in there. And I'm surprised, to be honest, that this deal with Markus Golden didn't happen sooner, because I don't know how much we could have relied on a guy like David Perales or Kyron Johnson. Do you guys even know who they are, with all due respect? Markus Golden was good for us, man. Like, Markus Golden, as I said at the beginning here, he's been in the league for a minute. So I'm surprised we waited this long to bring him in here to be our 4th guy, because I thought once the season ended, we could have easily just ran it back with the same 4 edge rushers and have no problems at all. Obviously, the top 3 that I mentioned, and then just bring back Markus Golden. I was interested in having Bud Dupree be in that 4th spot, but after he signed with the Chargers, like, what's the holdup? Bring back Golden. And we finally did. Maybe what the Steelers were thinking, though, is let's see what these young guys got. Marcus Golden is always going to be out there. And if we see that these young guys aren't up to snuff just yet, they're not ready, we can easily bring back Golden. But if one of these guys can step up, like a Paralysis, like a Kyron Johnson, then we're in a better spot for the future. Because like it's not like we're relying on our fourth guy to be out there every snap or anything. No, I mean, in our reality, they shouldn't be seeing the field much at all. But maybe we're setting ourselves better long term by having one of these young guys still on the roster to develop, whereas Marcus Golden, this might be his last year in the league. So that's probably what they were thinking as to, you know, why Golden hasn't been on the roster up to this point, or we didn't re-sign him. But he's here now. And I think the injuries to those two young players enabled for this to happen. So shout out to Marcus Golden. And I wouldn't be surprised, too, if something similar happened with the cornerback position. Like, watch out for that. Watch out for Corey Trice, Darius Rush, Beanie Bishop, some of these other like uncertain cornerbacks that we have on this roster. Look out for their development throughout the rest of the training camp here, because if the Steelers view them not up to standard, we might be looking to the outside to bring someone else in, like a veteran corner. Stephon Gilmore's name's been thrown out there, and Adoree Jackson. Could spin the block on Akella Witherspoon. Who knows? Like, there's a bunch of cornerback names out there. But I think that was the Steelers' strategy with Marcus Golden. See what the young guys got to start training camp. If they ain't delivering, bring back the known veteran and Marcus Golden. And I think the injuries just accelerated that process. So good signing. Does it mean Omar Khan got something more up his sleeve? Who knows? Who knows? He's working the phones, made a signing today. Could an Ayuk deal be next? Depends on who you want to believe. Schefter and Rappaport, they're saying no deal is close between the 49ers and Ayuk. And then Coward saying 49ers deal is imminent. Keep your eyes peeled. Who knows, man? And I guess it doesn't necessarily automatically mean we are the ones trading for Ayuk, but you know we're one of the top 2 or 3 teams. And we also know Roman Wilson just went down with an injury, so we could use the receiver. We've been talking about trading a receiver this whole offseason, and now we're down our 3rd-round pick from this draft. Like, yeah, we could use a receiver even more now, even more so. So why not Ayuk? One more headline. Actually, there's 2 more kind of, but the other headline I wanted to go over real quick before we get into the meat of this show, and that is predicting the Steelers' 53-man roster for 2024. Man, I was up all night going through this, trying to figure out who's like the last 5 guys in. I got the last 5 guys in, last 5 guys out. I got the locks. I got the players that are likely to make the team. Like, yeah, we're gonna deep dive into this 53-man roster prediction. But before we get into that, Arthur Marlette, man, former Steeler, now Baltimore Raven. He's been on the Ravens for the last couple seasons, taking some shots at Patrick Queen. We all know Patrick Queen a couple weeks ago said that the Steelers, Pittsburgh, it's already a better organization. It's already the better city. And we got the better food. And Arthur Marlette out of nowhere, I mean, all this time's passed by, wanted to call out Patrick Queen, wanted to give his clap back here. He says, we know the food isn't better in Pittsburgh, and we know the city isn't better. Come on, man. Bro, like, it's just not true. I mean, it's not true. It's definitely not true. Pittsburgh is the better city, the better food, all that. I might be biased a little bit, born and raised, but Marlette, man, I don't know. I don't know if you're the guy that should be saying this stuff. Anyway, Patrick Queen responds, and I think he's got a great point. We in camp, and y'all still bringing up my food takes. And then has the GIF underneath it, rent-free. And it's not even his food takes. There's other Ravens. Marlon Humphrey was talking some smack on Patrick Queen this offseason. There's been other players that have been talking about Patrick Queen. Now, Queen, has brought it upon himself a little bit because he has taken some shots at Baltimore and at the Ravens and everything. But, hey, I'm not complaining. But they've been bringing up Patrick Queen's name a lot this offseason, whereas Queen, he's clearly said he's happy in his new spot. He's happy. He's pumped to be a Steeler. He said he took less money to be here. He said if I wanted more money, I could have went somewhere else, but I wanted to go to a place where I could win, where I have a better chance of winning. But yeah, all these Ravens players, they've been talking about Queen a lot this offseason, more than what they should be more focused on themselves. Queen, he's in a new spot. He's happy. It's not his fault that he found greener pastures. It's not his fault at all. And if anything, I think Queen's take on the better city and the better food, if you compare him to Arthur Maulet, holds more weight because Patrick Queen was drafted by Baltimore. Patrick Queen was in Baltimore for 4 seasons. He was like the guy down there in Baltimore, at least until Roquan Smith got there. He was the guy. First round pick. They picked him, everything. There for 4 years. Arthur Maulet, I think he was only in Pittsburgh for 2 years. 2 years. He's been a journeyman, been down in Baltimore these last few seasons. So, like, for Queen, he was 4 years Baltimore, has been in Pittsburgh for, what, 2-3 months? And he's already seeing how much better Pittsburgh is. I feel like his take on this holds a lot more weight. Arthur Maulet, I would say he's just salty he's not in Pittsburgh anymore and is bringing this up. Because he was not happy. If you guys can remember, he was not happy when he was let go. And he had to go to another team. He liked it here in Pittsburgh. I liked him too. I think Arthur Maulet was a really good player for us. But there was that. Yeah, I'm taking Patrick Queen's take on this over Arthur Maulet. Easily. But we also had a camp fight yesterday. There was another one that happened today, too. The camp fight that happened yesterday, though, was after Landon Roberts had a hit on Justin Fields. We know the rules of training camp. Like, you're not supposed to hit the quarterback. I don't think it was a malicious hit or anything, but you had all of the offense come to Justin Fields' rescue and stand up for their quarterback. And it was led by 4th-round offensive lineman that we just picked up, rookie offensive lineman Mason McCormick. So there was a huge scrum yesterday. I know a bunch of you guys probably saw the video. And I liked it, man. I didn't see any negativity from it at all. Any negativity. Because it's training camp. It's football. Like, that stuff's naturally going to happen. But what you like to see is dudes stepping up on offense and looking out for each other. Looks like they're starting to develop like a brotherhood that has been lacking with this Steelers offense these last couple of years. A physicality, like that dog mentality. Like I'm hoping from the looks of it right now, we got those type of dudes in here. That was a 4th-round rookie that went out of his way to go up against a Landon Roberts. Landon Roberts been in the league for, what, 9-10 years. Super Bowl champion. 4th-round rookie went up to him and was like, no, we don't do that. And then everyone followed. You love to see it. I mean, that's what the Steelers are about, too, man. You go back to the 70s. You go back to the 90s whenever we had Bill Coward, some of those defense, those teams. Not only the defense, but even the offense with like a Jerome Bettis. Like, we were a physical brand of football. We were a physical team. And then even in the Big Ben era, like think of our great offenses. Like, yeah, we had the Killer B era where we were slinging it all over the place. It was high octane. But think of those offensive linemen with Pouncey, Ramon Foster, Villanueva, DeCastro. Like, those dudes stuck up for not only each other, but like the rest of that offense. Like, no one can mess with Ben. No one can mess with those players on offense because those O-linemen were going to stand up and protect them. And that's what we're seeing here, Lou. I like it. I do like it. I definitely like it. It's not like anyone got hurt or anything. So that's good. It doesn't seem like Roberts took a cheap shot on Fields. So nothing wrong with a little skirmish at training camp. I think it shows you care. What's good with everyone today? Who we got in the chat? Jay Brown Steelers. What's popping, dude? He says, come on, Deke. Everyone knows we're all about the standard. And he says, oh, wait, Tomlin's standard is 500. I didn't see the second half of your comment there. I wasn't expecting the shot at Tomlin. No, I don't think Tomlin's standard is 500 either. I mean, we won 10-7 last year, and that's with that mess of a quarterback situation that we had. Went 10-7. I thought we were playing really good at the end of the season. I don't think Tomlin's been happy with how the last few seasons have gone either. We made the necessary change this offseason by bringing in Arthur Smith, bringing in new personnel. I think we'll be all right. I think we'll definitely be all right. The decal 30 says, my first comment isn't malicious or anything. I'm genuinely curious when the hype started. I don't know who you're talking about. Hold on. He says, he's talking about Ayuk versus Debo. Ayuk had 1,300 yards last year and 8 or 9 touchdowns. I think maybe that's when the hype started. I think the year before that, he had over 1,000 yards. He's a really good receiver. He deserves to get paid. I just don't think he deserves to get paid top 5 money. Like, he's a top 10 receiver, top 10, top 11, 12 receiver right now. But I also think he's been benefited by that 49er system and having Kyle Shanahan and McCaffrey there, Debo. Like, he's the 3rd or 4th target. Jathan says, how we think Jay Fields is going to be with this squad this year. I mean, if all works out well, we probably don't see Fields. Maybe we have him in some of those packages. I'm not the biggest fan of that stuff. I think it's too gimmicky, but I expect Russ to play good. So that means Justin Fields will be sitting on the sidelines, which I don't think it's a bad thing for Fields, and it's not a bad thing for the Steelers either. Yeah, sometimes you need to take a back seat. Learn from a guy like Russ. That'll increase your stock too a little bit. I mean, we've seen it happen before with Jameis Winston the one year. He sat behind Breeze, got the starter's job the following season when Breeze retired. Mitch Trubisky sat a season behind Josh Allen, signs with Pittsburgh, gets a chance to be a starter back in 2022. So it's not a bad thing for Fields, especially learning behind a guy like Russell Wilson. It's worked out pretty good for Jordan Love, though. So it's worked out for a ton of players that have had to sit behind a really good quarterback, like a veteran quarterback or a Hall of Fame quarterback. Patrick Mahomes sat a whole year behind an Alex Smith. I don't think very highly of Alex Smith, but he's professional. He's a veteran. I think that helped Mahomes. Jay Brown Steelers asked, Deke, are you telling me you would take Russ over Fields? Yeah, I've been saying that. If I need to win games in 2024, I'm taking Russ over Fields because Russ has won games. Russ is way more proven. I don't think Russ is washed either. Like, Fields in his best season, which was last year, still isn't even as good, or it's arguable that you would take Fields' best years over Russ's worst years. Russ's worst year was his first year in Denver, but he was very much hurt. And everyone's saying Russ's last year in Denver was this is another sign that he's towards the end. Dude had 26 touchdowns and 8 picks. Got the Broncos. I think they started off 1-4, 1-5. He got the Broncos back to 500 in the playoff hunt. And that's all with Sean Payton trying to bench him in the middle of the season. And obviously their relationship had friction and they weren't meshing together. Yeah, I'd take my chances with Russ. Absolutely. Now, if he starts off bad for us, first 6-7 games, he's not looking good, we're winning in spite of Russ, by all means, be open to make a switch to Fields. Because learning out about figuring out Fields and learning more about him could be very, very valuable for this franchise long term. Whereas with Russ, he is a little bit older. So, I don't think we're getting more than 4 or 5 years out of Russ. Whereas Fields, former top 10 pick, obviously extremely talented. He's still only, 25? You could have him around for the next 10, 11, 12 years, potentially be your franchise quarterback. But he hasn't proven that yet. There's a reason he's on his second team already. You think the Bears wanted to move off of Justin Fields? You think they had the intention of doing that? No. Now, it was a unique situation where they had the number 1 overall pick this year, and the best quarterback in the draft was Caleb Williams. I don't blame the Bears for making that decision at all. I was actually surprised that there were reports out there that they were going back and forth on whether or not to keep Fields or draft Caleb. I think that's stupid. You got to go with Caleb Williams. Let's get to this roster prediction part of the show, though. This is going to be pretty good. I think my predictions are pretty spot on. I told you. I labored over this. I was going back and forth. I was up all night trying to figure this out. So I'm going to break it down like this. I got 38 players I consider locks to make the team. And then I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I got 10 that I have as likely to make the team. And then that leaves 5 spots. So that'll be the last 5 in. And then we'll talk about the honorable mentions, or like the last 5 out. And then we're going to have, I guess, bonus players in a way, because we do have a couple that I have as locks to make the team that may not be available, or at least one of them definitely won't be available to start the season. So I think that opens up 2 additional roster spots. So let's go over the 38 players that are locked to make the team. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, 1, 2. At 3, Najee Harris. 4, Jaylen Warren. 5, Cordell Patterson. So quarterback, Russ Fields. Running back, I think those 3 running backs make it, no doubt. Najee, Jaylen, Cordell Patterson. No debates there, right? At receiver, locks. Pickens and Roman Wilson. That's it. That's 6 and 7. Are we sure Van Jefferson's a lock? I think he's close too, but I didn't want to consider him in here. He's going to be in the likelies. At tight end, number 8 is Freiermuth. Number 9, Darnell Washington. Yeah, I don't think we're moving off of Darnell in year 2. I know his rookie year was a little bit of a disappointment, but he wasn't utilized as much as he probably should have. And he's, one of the best blocking tight ends out there. Arthur Smith likes to run the ball. He likes to utilize tight ends, not only in that fashion, but even in the passing game. So, yeah, Darnell's he's going to be here. He's a lock. And obviously Pat Freiermuth. At O-line, I got 7 names that are locks here. So number 10 roster spot is Broderick Jones. 11, Troy Fautanu. 12, Zach Frazier. 13, James Daniels. 14, Isaac Seumalo. 15, Mason McCormick, the guy that started the fight with Landon Roberts. And at 16, Dan Moore Jr. Now, he could be a trade candidate, but no matter what, he's going to be around here. Like, whether he's starting or he's going to be the swing tackle, like, we're going to keep him unless he does get traded, a la Kevin Dotson last year. But I think he's very valuable. I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of his play, but dude has started a lot in this league thus far and can be your swing tackle. He could go both sides. Left tackle, we've experimented with him at right tackle. Doesn't have the greatest experience at right tackle, but worst case scenario, he's excellent depth if you're going to start Broderick and Fautanu. But I got a gut feeling that Dan Moore is going to be starting this season, almost like what we did with Broderick Jones last year. We had Dan Moore and Chooks start the season, had Broderick sit behind them for the first, 7, 8 games. And Chooks was chirping on the sidelines. We benched him. Broderick got in. So, yeah, Moore's going to be a lock. Defensive line. Let me go through this more quickly here. I'm not going to number them. I'll just, like I said, these are 38 names. You just got to trust me on this. Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, Larry Ogunjobi, and Montravius Adams on the D-line. I think those guys are locks. Obviously, the first 3. And I think Montravius Adams is really our only solid nose tackle on this roster. Inside linebacker, Patrick Queen, Peyton Wilson, Cole Holcomb, and Landon Roberts. I got them as locks. Outside linebacker, edge rusher, TJ Watt, Herbig, and Alex Highsmith. Cornerback, Joey Porter Jr., Dante Jackson, Corey Trice, and Cam Sutton. Safety, I got 4 locks. Minka Fitzpatrick, Monty Casey, Deshaun Elliott, and Miles Killebrew. Kicker, Boswell. Punter, Cameron Johnston, and long snapper, Christian Kuntz. So that's 38 names I got as locks. Now let's go over the 10 likelies to make this team. I said 2 quarterbacks are locks. We're going to have a third guy, and it's just a matter of who, not whether or not we're going to actually have a third guy. And I think it's going to be Kyle Allen. I think he's going to beat out John Rice Plumlee. Plumlee's path is most likely practice squad. If he wants to stick around in Pittsburgh, maybe he'll find a spot somewhere else. And that is if he has a really good preseason and stuff. But I don't think he's going to have enough to beat out a veteran like Kyle Allen in this room. Now, I only said 2 locks for receivers, and that's Pickens and Roman Wilson. So I'm going to have 3 guys in the likely category, and that's Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin III, and then I have a TBD. I think we're going to make a move at some point throughout the rest of this offseason. We're going to make a move. I mean, Roman Wilson's injured. There's some guys out there. There's some names in free agency, not the most optimal names. But whether it's that or if it is a trade, I think Omar's got some up his sleeve. And then at tight end, we got Freiermuth, Washington. I think we roll with 4 tight ends. We're going to go Connor Hayward and Michael Pruitt. Arthur Smith, as I said, likes utilizing tight ends. There's a lot of formations with 2 tight ends out there, a lot of plays with 2 tight ends. He's familiar with Michael Pruitt. Connor Hayward, he's a Swiss Army knife. We're seeing his name a lot already popping up throughout training camp. He's just a playmaker. So I think it's going to be hard for us to cut Connor Hayward. Obviously, the connection to Cam Hayward as well. You know, we like to keep the bloodlines around here in Pittsburgh. I don't think we could afford to lose another one here. We've lost some names. We lost Derek Watt. So I think Tomlin's going to want to try to keep that balance of family pedigree around here by keeping Connor Hayward. So I think those 2 make it for tight ends. We're going to keep 4. We did 4 for the majority last year with Rodney Williams. So I think he's going to be like on the cutting room floor. I wouldn't even be surprised if we kept him, to be honest with you, because of his special teams. And that would be 5 tight ends. I think that'd be crazy. But for this prediction, I'm going with Hayward and Pruitt, along with Freiermuth and Washington for the tight end room. And then 1 additional O-lineman. I said 7 O-line. I think we keep Herbig because, honestly, I should have put him in at lock because he's taken first-team center reps. I don't think we're going to mess with that. Like, I don't really envision him starting. Like, he's going to be a backup for us because I think it'd be crazy if we're not starting with Zach Frazier in week 1 at center. But Herbig's valuable. He's taking those center reps. He could play all across the offensive line. I think he's going to be making the team too. And he's got the connection to Herbig on defense. More bloodlines. And then defensive line, the additional name here, I got DeMarvin Leal. So this is number 46. 46, we got 2 more names after him in the likelies category. He's having a good camp. He's really talented too. I don't think we can afford to lose him. I think this could be a big year for DeMarvin Leal. Like, him and Benton really have the potential to be the future of this defensive line. And if he keeps playing like he has been, based off all the reports throughout training camp, then yeah, I think we might have our D line set for the next 5-6 years with a Benton and a Leal. And then an inside linebacker, I have 1 more. That's Tyler Medikevich. I think the special teams value is too much to mess with letting him go. I think there's a reason we signed him. What was it, last week and a half ago? He's back. He's going to provide us a lot for special teams, but gives us some inside linebacker depth too. I think we really like him here. And then the last name on the likelies, and then we'll go last 5 in, last 5 out, is Markus Golden. We just picked him up today. We literally just picked him up today. I think he's going to be on this team as our 4th edge rusher. What are you guys thinking so far, though, about these predictions? I'm seeing some more field stock and stuff in the chat here. Okay. Yeah, we'll just get to the last 5 in. Jay Brown agrees with me. He says you're spot on. All right. I'm seeing some names being brought up now. Don't worry. We still got 5 more names. This is cool. I got a whole spreadsheet here. So last 5 in. Actually, Beanie Bishop, just brought up by the decal, 30. Yeah, he's number 49. He's been making some waves at camp. He's getting some starting slot reps, starting slot minutes. He's making the most of it. And I think he fits the Steelers slot cornerback mold, man. I really do. Physical. It was a pretty good cover corner at West Virginia, like on the outside. So he shows some versatility too. I like his game. I do. I think the Steelers do as well. They gave him, I think it was the most money, like signing bonus wise, out of all the position players. I don't know if that's just strictly this year or like that's in the history of the Steelers too. as an undrafted rookie free agent. So, yeah, he's been getting, like, quality reps here already in training camp and has been balling out. So I expect him to make the roster. And we need a couple additional cornerbacks here because I only said 4 thus far on the squad. But that leads me to my next guy. I think Anthony Averett makes it. We're familiar with his game because he's AFC North proven. He was with the Ravens for a minute. Like, we're going to need another guy with Cam Sutton being suspended for the first 8 weeks of the season. We're going to need another guy in there that has gotten starters minutes, has got some experience in the league, and Anthony Averett's got that. And the familiarity with the AFC North doesn't hurt with that either. 51, Isaiah Loudermilk. Yeah, I think we like having a fair amount of defensive linemen. So that would make 6. Cam, Benton, Ogunjobi, Montravius Adams, DeMarvin Leal, and then Loudermilk would make 6. I think we like him. Like, I think we're disappointed in his development a little bit. We'd expect him to be a little bit better at this point. He's been in the league for this is coming up on 4 years. And he hasn't really made that jump, but I also think he's someone that you can rely on and is a body type that can play all along that defensive line. If you need him at nose tackle for a few snaps, he could do that. He could do the 3-4 outside, almost like Cam Hayward, like the Cam Hayward position. I think we're going to stick with Loudermilk because this is one of those spots where it's like you could go Loudermilk, you could go Dean Lowry, you could go Logan Lee, but I think we're going to end up on Loudermilk here, making that final spot on the D line. 52. So we got 2 more names here. I got Jack Coletto. Arthur Smith likes utilizing fullbacks. And that's why I said I wouldn't be surprised if we kept the Rodney Williams as opposed to like a Jack Coletto, because just to have an additional guy in there that can play tight end, can block for you on offense, I think that's something Arthur Smith values. But for this spot, I think it's going to be in the form of fullback, and Jack Coletto makes his team up. By all accounts, he's been balling out. At 53, final spot, I'm going Scotty Miller. We need an additional guy in this receiver room. I only got 5 names. It's Pickens, Wilson, Van Jefferson, Calvin Austin, and then TBD. Maybe that TBD could be Quez Watkins if we don't make a trade. But I think Scotty Miller makes the squad. Got a Super Bowl ring over with the Buccaneers, Tom Brady, and all them back in 2021? Or was that? Yeah, 2021, the COVID year, where there was stands empty, no fans out there or anything. But yeah, he won a Super Bowl back with them. Familiar with Arthur Smith, can play special teams too. I think that's obviously something the Steelers value a lot. So Scotty Miller makes it. I think he fills out the last spot in this receiver room. Now, last 5 out, there's going to be some names. I mentioned Quez Watkins. If we trade for a guy, I think he's going to be out. Ryan Watts, our 6th-round pick, who's like a safety / cornerback, good physical presence. I think he's going to be out. Probably practice squad. Dean Lowry, free agent pickup on the defensive line. He's out. Braden Fajoko. Unfortunately, we got too many names here, man. We got too many names to keep. And some of these dudes that we're familiar with are going to be on the outside looking in. Logan Lee, 6th-round pick in this year's draft too. I think it's going to be tough for him to beat out a Loudermilk, to prove that he could be a durable guy in this offensive line, a guy that we could rely on. Because he came in looking more like a project, looking more like a Brett Keys, like, all right, man, like it's going to take him a little bit to develop. I don't know year one if the Steelers are going to want to hold up a roster spot with Logan Lee, where, if one of these guys get down on the defensive line, at least we could plug and play Loudermilk, right? Logan Lee, I think there's just too much uncertainty with him right now. I think the talent's there. I'd love to have him back on the practice squad, but he's going to be on the outside looking in too. But the bonus too, because we're going to have guys, I think Cole Holcomb and I think definitely Cam Sutton, they're going to be out to start the season. So we're going to have 2 additional roster spots that are open. And I think those go to Darius Rush, because if Cam Sutton's out, we're going to need an extra cornerback in there. That would leave us with JPJ, Trice, Dante Jackson, Darius Rush, Beanie Bishop, and Anthony Averett to start the season. 6 corners. And then the last one would be, it's either Mark Robinson or one of these defensive linemen I just mentioned. Mark Robinson, because he could help on special teams, or it's just another guy like a Dean Lowry, a Fajoko, or a Logan Lee to be on that D line, to be a 7th guy. So that's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think of these predictions? I think this is pretty good, man. Yeah, the problem Darren says Logan Lee already out. Yeah, unfortunately, I think so. We just got too many names here. Way too many names. Steel K has Dylan Cook as offensive lineman 9, Averett is cornerback 6, and defensive lineman 7 is Loudermilk. So we're kind of on the same page here. The decal 30 says Ryan Watts will be solid, but he kind of reminds me of Antoine Brooks Jr. Ooh. Wow, that's a name. Yeah, we had high hopes on Antoine Brooks. Isaiah Crown brings up Corey Trice. Yeah, I'm keeping Corey Trice around, definitely. Corey Trice was in my locks. We ain't messing with cutting him. Some people are saying he's on the chopping block because he started off slow in training camp and we're not getting him a ton of reps. I think we're just easing him in because of the ACL injury. That's all. Here's Isaiah Crown brings up, yeah, Brooks is 5'10", Ryan Watts is 6'3". That's what I was thinking too. Isn't Brooks a lot shorter than Ryan Watts? But I get what he's saying because like Brooks was like a safety / cornerback too, and Ryan Watts is almost a positionless player too. Like we had him at safety, I think thus far at his training camp. Obviously, he came in as a corner, but we even did some dime backer stuff. I heard some reports on him playing in the box. Decal 30 says not the build, but the physicality, not much of the coverage, but more downhill. Yeah, I understood. I understood that's where you were getting at. But all right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. This was fun. I think those predictions are pretty spot on. I'm not going to front. Obviously, it's just going to come down to maybe I got a name or two wrong, but that's going to be the roster for the most part. We can agree. I mean, there's 40? I said 38 locks, and then 10 more guys that are likely. So, like, yeah, 48 of those 53 names, we know what this squad's going to be looking like. And it comes down to last 5 in, last 5 out. It comes down to like a mix of 10, 11, 12 names where you got to cut it in half. But all right, I'm out of here. Appreciate everyone for stopping through, chopping it up in the chat. And yeah, until next time, I'll be back for first preseason game, post game. So stop through then. Stay chilling. Peace.